Welcome to the Tallen Time podcast, featuring entrepreneur and philanthropist Terry Tallen and longtime award-winning journalist Tom Brew. We'll be telling you stories from around the country about sports, business, philanthropy, and mentoring. It's a full season of podcasts right here at tallentime.com. And welcome to the show. All right, welcome back. Tom Brew here with Terry Tallen. We're in the Burgess room now, the Burgess Mansion here in Marin City. And Terry, it's an honor to be here, and you've got some special guests you want to introduce to everyone as well for part of the reason why we're here.
I sure do, and Tom, welcome out to sunny Marin County, California. We've got a beautiful weather day here, and we're with two of our very good friends and one very long-standing friend, my great friend Felecia Gaston and Jahi. They are with the Marin Performing Stars. They're also leading the charge for the 80th anniversary of the history of the historic Marin ship in Marin City, California. The home that we're in today was built in 1886. It was originally part of a Mexican land grant that was given to Colonel Obadiah Livermore. Livermore is also the name of a city located in the San Francisco East Bay, where we've done a lot of business over the years, and a lot of history with that as well. The home was then later purchased by a lumber baron who name was Burgess, who has reconstituted the house, redeveloped it, and turned it into this beautiful facility that it is today. We have a very special thanks to the Marin City Community Development Corporation for allowing us to come in here again and to visit with our good friends. Today's segment covers the four elements of the missive of our podcast. We are dealing here today with leadership. We're dealing here with philanthropy. We're dealing here with business, and we're also dealing to some extent with some sports history. So, without further ado, I want to introduce you to Felecia. Felecia and I have been working in this community for 20 some odd years. We first became acquainted in 1998, and she's done so much good for young, old, everybody within this community. And what we're focused on right now is creating an awareness for the historic 80th anniversary of Marin City, which was a very special area during World War II. So there was a tremendous amount of patriotism here and a lot of work that went towards allowing the United States to win World War II. So without any further dialogue from me, I'm going to introduce you to Felecia Gaston.
Hello. It is such an honor and a pleasure to be here to represent not only Marin City, but also represent the organization that I founded 32 years ago, Performing Stars of Marin, which is a nonprofit organization. It serves children and families by providing enrichment programs, community events, and safety net services. The most special reason I'm proud of today is to celebrate Marin City's 80-year anniversary, 1942 to 2022. I had the fortunate to be able to meet a lot of the original pioneers when I first started working in Marin City. I was able to gather their oral histories. I have been collecting artifacts over the years, historical newspapers, and now this is all culminating into a big exhibit that we're going to have at the Bartolini Gallery in August at the Marin Civic Center. There's a numerous exhibits that's going to be on display, not only at the Bartolini Gallery, but also on the first floor at the Civic Center and also on the third floor. And the whole exhibit is dealing with housing discrimination and racism in Marin County, but also to tell the story of not only the many people who came to work here during World War II, but also to tell the story from the Black experience, because many of the people came from the South, they came from the Midwest, they came to make a better life for themselves. They built their whole families here, and they came again to help win the war, very patriotic. And so this is why we're here today.
Sure, and absolutely. And that's From doing the research that I did too, it sounds like the history of this area during World War II for all that went on here and right after is a pretty amazing story in itself, Terry.
And I think now with Tom, that is a perfect time to allow Jahi to tell us a little bit more about the history of Marin City.
Thank you, Terry, for that. Well, I'm sitting next to a culture keeper right now, so I feel great. In terms of history, I could start with Felecia's history, really supporting the Marin City community for over 32 years, and it's been an honor and a privilege to be able to bring these stories to light. We have found that it's been the first time, when you see the exhibits, it'll be the first time you've seen photos and narratives around the Black experience in Marin City, so I'm really honored to be able to do that. One piece of history that we've been spending a lot of time on is Joseph James. And we'll have a play, a 3-man play featuring folks from Marin City playing lead characters. And we're going to talk about 3 aspects of Joseph James' life. Joseph James came and worked at the Marin shipyard in 1942. And in 1943, he was instrumental in taking the Union to task around discrimination. And it ended up going all the way to the California Supreme Court with Thurgood Marshall and won, which was a bit unprecedented during that time. So as we tell the story of Marin City, we're telling the story of self-determination, of resilience, of people like Miss Annie Small and Miss Rodessa Battle, strong Black women who talked about how they worked 1 and 2 shifts and how they had a sense of history. If you know anything about World War II, the largest migration of Black folks from the South to the West and to the North happened during World War II. So we're really capturing all of that history in the exhibits that we have. We'll talk about 1942 to 1962, which is really important for Marin City because that's the wartime. And then also it tells the narrative of what happened after the war and leading up to 1962. And then we'll have multiple exhibits, plays, a great weekend. So it's a historical time for Marin City, and 80 years is a really important time because when you look back at the beginning of Marin City and you look at the shipyards and you look at where we are in 2022, there's an opportunity for the 8 generations of Black families that are in Marin City to be able to scale themselves forward for the next 8 generations.
And during this period of time, leading up to 1942, when Marin ship started, a unprecedented amount of Blacks moved from the southeast here to they're true patriots. They're true patriots that moved here specifically to build ships for World War II to allow us to win that war.
Terry, how did your involvement start here? That goes back how far?
My involvement goes back to 1998. This was a shopping center that we had developed when I was involved with a large real estate investment trust based in San Francisco. Now, as you know, Tom, I live very close to here, and Felecia knows we live close, and we get together for our coffees, and it's a short drive. But this is we consider this to be irreplaceable real estate for our real estate audience. It's located on the Highway 101, just a few miles north of the Golden Gate Bridge. While this is one of the wealthiest counties in California and one of the wealthiest counties in the country, we have we have Section 8 housing here. We have lower income housing here that benefits the community, but also those things we're trying to improve upon. The shopping center is one that has been certainly an investment that we've participated in over the years, and I've redeveloped this center several times, and each time we do it, it gets better and better. Most recently, through the good work with the Marin Community Development Corporation, our partners, and Felecia and Jahi, we were able to bring Target here. Target is about a 50,000 square foot store. It also has a large grocery component. The shopping center in this area was considered to be a food desert, and we were able to solve that problem and bring a number of very well-paying jobs into the community. Target has hired a lot of people from the community and trained people from the community, which is very important. Another aspect of what Felecia and Jahi do, along with the CDC, is to train people for various positions in many, many different fields. So it's been a great boon for this area and the economy, and to bring bring everything else another notch.
That's part one of our Tallen Time podcast for the week, and we have some words from some of our sponsors. We'll be back right after that.
Welcome to the New Calm family. My name is Jim Poole. I'm the president and CEO of Solid Life Sciences, the neuroscience company that makes New Calm. And what is it? It's simply a technology that when you're feeling stressed or you're not sleeping well, whatever it is that life brings you, New Calm is a tool that predictably, safely, and reliably is going to take good care of you. Find a comfortable place. Put the disc on, eye mask, choose your track. You're going to lie down. What's going to happen? Your mind's going to wander. But here's how you'll know New Calm's working. You'll begin to feel your body separate from your mind. Your mind's going to wander, and your body's going to feel heavy, and your respiration's going to slow down. And you're going to go somewhere where your mind just wanders and your body heals. And then at some point, you just kind of come to. Simply take off the eye mask, stop the track, take the disc off, and off you go.
And here they come, and Indiana got to him. Sack.
Indiana football is back.
Touchdown!
Hoosier fans, Indiana football tickets are on sale for November home games. Catch the action this fall at Memorial Stadium as head coach Tom Allen leads the Hoosiers in a battle against the Penn State Nittany Lions on November 5th. For more information or to purchase tickets, visit IUHoosiers.com. Support the Hoosiers in 2022. Go IU.
This ad is being brought to you by Barker Wellness, a vegan wellness company. Started by Blink-182 member and drumming legend Travis Barker, Barker Wellness covers all your lifestyle needs, from tinctures and gummies that aid in sleep, recovery, and maintenance, to the pain relief balms, rollers, and creams. They also have recently launched their vegan skincare line as well.
This is Terry Tallen and Tallen Time for Barker Wellness. Barker Wellness is one of our terrific sponsors that we're honored to have signing up for the program and to work with the people at Barker. We use many of their products. Their pain creams and ointments and rollers, especially the rollers, are fantastic. We highly recommend it for athletes, for those with arthritis, for those baby boomers that have these aches and pains. They also have hemp and non-hemp CBD products that help people sleep. And depending on what your needs are in those realms, Barker is the finest in the market. The management is extraordinary. They deliver what they sell, and I guarantee if you try Barker, you'll try no others.
Visit barkerwellness.com and use promo code TALLEN30 to get 30% off your first order.
As we know, Felicia's involved with the 80th anniversary, but also, as she mentioned, she's the executive director of the Performing Stars. Why don't we talk about what that charity does?
I am super proud to say that I am the founder of the Marin Performing Stars. This program provides youth enrichment programs by providing professional training in the arts to low-income children. We provide, we connect them with scholarships to art, to ballet, to theater. We bring in music teachers, we bring in baton teachers, but we also incorporate social skills. So that makes sure that the children not only are connected with enrichment, but they also know how to work, how to build upon a foundation so they can be successful in other choices in their life. We also provide field trips for children so they get a chance to go to the mountain play. The most important thing is that Marin County has so many resources, but you have to be able to access those resources. So Performing Stars provide that link for the children, making sure that they get to the classes, provide the transportation, provide the nutritional snacks, just making sure that they participate in all the different opportunities. The kids learn how to surf, they learn how to sail on the ocean, they learn fishing. The most important thing, as Terry mentioned, Marin City has very diverse communities, very diverse residents. But there still are many low-income families, and if they don't access all of these opportunities, then they stay stuck into their own environment. So Performing Stars is about making sure that they get access to resources that are available to them in Marin County. 10 years ago, Performing Stars launched a program called the Phoenix Project of Marin, which focuses on primarily the men and the Black men in the community to make sure that they have employment, as Terry mentioned, about job training, job coaching, advocacy in the court system, just making sure that they have as much support that's needed so they can be successful in their own lives.
See, that's one of the great points about this is it's been 32 years that Felicia's been changing the lives of young people here in Marin City. Also, Jahi, you've got some big events coming up this summer at the historic Marin, a lot of history here in Marin County at the historic Marin Civic Center. We're going to show some pictures of that. It was one of Frank Lloyd Wright's greatest civic or governmental designs. It's a wonderfully famous building, and part of the part of the show is also, as you know, is focused on philanthropy with what Jahi and Felecia are doing. We'll be raising money this summer, and Jahi's going to tell us a little about the events that are going to take place.
So August 20th is our opening night for the Legacy of Marin City, 1942-1962, a California story, at the Bartolini Gallery at the Marin Center in San Rafael, California, for those of you who may be listening around the world. So that'll be our opening night, and again, featuring the Marinship years, and then the years from 1945 until 1962 in Marin City. We also will have 2 weekends of a play called The Spirit of Joseph James that will lift up 3 parts of his life and centering on his Marinship years. Then we have the Civic Center, the first floor and the 3rd floor. As we mentioned earlier, there will be small exhibits. One of the things I'll say about the exhibits that's been very fascinating is that in Felecia Gaston's collection, she has been collecting articles for the past 30, 35 years. And then also just the history of Marin City. So she has an article in 1943 that talked about people trying to make changes to Marin City while wartime was happening. If we put that in a small form, you might walk past it, but we're actually going to put it like 16 by 20 or 40 by 60, so you can really see, number one, the historical significance, and then also the content that's inside. And then it all culminates on Labor Day weekend. I can't wait for the car show, the good food, a lot of love in the community.
Concert.
And there'll be a blues concert celebrating the 80th anniversary. And then the 80th anniversary is the jump off point for the Marin City Historical and Preservation Society. So as we celebrate 80 years of Marin City, we now want to work towards preserving the artifacts, the stories, and the people from the Marin City community.
And while our show, we have a national audience, but we also have our local audience here too. Jahi, can you tell us a little bit more about the music, about the food, things that people might not know about?
Well, I will say that part of the exhibit and also on the bus stops around the community, there's music already embedded in our art installations right now. There's a project called A Way Out of No Way that we did over the last summer, that won an Anthem Award. So that music, but for the Labor Day, it's all blues and soul. It's blues and soul food and community. That's
it's actually blues, jazz, and soul with a little gospel. And then it'll be a live concert. All the music is live, and we'll have vendors from all over the Bay Area, soul food, Creole food, homemade desserts. And then we'll have arts and craft vendors also. And that Saturday beforehand will be a car show. So all of that will take place in Marin City.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be exceptional. Also, you have a book.
Right, multiple books. Our first book, Grandmother Feeds Us Love.
Yeah, so this book I have been working on since January, and it's all part of the Marin City 80s celebration. But it's to honor the grandmothers who were born before 1942. We have 144 grandmothers. 25 of them are still living, the others are deceased. We have 44 recipes. But the most important part about this book is that it highlights where they were born, how many children they have, how many grandchildren, how many great-grandchildren. That book is in production right now. It'll be available next month, and we're planning a lot of book signing parties and tastings. We're also working on a Marin City commemorative book that highlights all the significant historical points that have happened in Marin City from 1942 to 2022. For instance, in the 60s, The Black Panther Party had a big rally here, and they had all of the major Black Panthers here, from Huey Newton and who was it? Eldridge Cleaver, Captain Cleaver.
Yeah,
Was held right
Brown.
here, the Manzanita Rec Center. But a lot of people, we talk about Tupac, the rapper who was lived here, but George Duke.
That's right.
George Duke was a famous musician, and he grew up right here in Marin City. Went to the San Francisco Conservatory of Music. So we want to highlight those significant people that have lived here in Marin City.
I think that's a wonderful thing too, because I know from personal experience that people love books on history of their hometown. I've written 4 books myself, and one of the books that I've done was the history of my own hometown, Schererville, Indiana. When in 2016 they celebrated their 150-year anniversary, and I wrote a book on the people, places, and things that made that town special. And everybody who's a native of that town, I think, has bought at least one copy of that book, and it was wonderful. And for me, as a much like you two, as a resident and as someone who was born and raised there and knew what I thought was 60 years of history when I wrote it, I didn't know anything. Once I really started digging deep and finding stories from the 1800s and the early 1900s and how all of that area came together, I learned all sorts of stuff that I never knew myself, which was great and wonderful. So I certainly will look forward to reading a book like that as well.
And Felecia, do we have a lot of descendants from those original grandmothers that you're doing a publication on?
Yes, and that's the beauty about putting that book together that honor the grandmothers, because they have numerous grandchildren. Some of them have 100 grandchildren or 100 great-grandchildren. Some of them would say it's just too numerous to count. And so that is the beauty of part. I really love working to gather that information, to talk to the family members and to say, how many children did your mom have? How many grandchildren? How many great-grandchildren? So that part is just, to me, we'll be able to share that to their children, and then they can share it with their children. And it's really, I call it a heritage book. It's more than just a cookbook. It's just something definitely to honor all of the grandmothers who, many of them came to work during the shipyard days. But even after the war was over, when the only work that was available to them was to go work as maids here in all the white communities. But they always maintained their dignity. They maintained keeping their families together. They went to church. That's all. As a matter of fact, all of them have that in common. If you even read through the ones who are deceased, you read their obituaries. What they all had in common is that they accepted Christ at an early age and they got baptized. That was something that was common, and that's what have kept this community together. Even though we know that the men was very hardworking men, and after the war was over, many of them went to work in the construction firms all around Marin County. Gelati Brothers was a really big employer. Many of the men helped build the freeways here. So they did what they had to do to survive, and they wanted always a better life for themselves. And they knew one thing: they were not moving back to the South.
We'll be right back on the Tallen Time podcast after these messages from our sponsors.
NewCom is neuroscience. It's not a fairy tale. It's not a bedtime story. There are a number of competitors in this space, and once you use NewCom, you'll find out who the real deal is. You'll benefit greatly from it. And don't be fooled by slick advertising. Go with the science. Science is where it's at.
I had 20 minutes of absolute escapism, peace. I was in like a twilight. I didn't know where I was or what was happening, but I never wanted it to end.
I can laugh with people. I don't get irritated. I don't get frustrated.
It is accessible. It's affordable. It's something that everyone can do.
And here they come. And Indiana got to him. Sack.
Indiana football is back.
Touchdown!
Hoosier Hoosier fans, Indiana football tickets are on sale for November home games. Catch the action this fall. Memorial Stadium as head coach Tom Allen leads the Hoosiers in a battle against the Penn State Nittany Lions on November 5th. For more information or to purchase tickets, visit IUHoosiers.com. Support the Hoosiers in 2022. Go IU.
Living a healthy lifestyle is everything to me. I couldn't do what I do without taking care of myself and giving my body what it needs to keep going. Yeah, after boxing for years and training Muay Thai and playing drums and training for tours, recovery became a big issue for me, and just figuring out how I could just keep going and not break down. I was using so many different CBD products and different lines of CBD that it became something I was really passionate about, and I wanted to create my own. The vision of Barker Wellness was trying to create products that I could actually use and would help with recovery and be super functional. Every product is 100% vegan-based and cruelty-free. We don't use artificial flavors or preservatives, and there's absolutely no THC. Barker Wellness is all about creating a routine of healthy habits that fit into my lifestyle and hopefully yours.
Visit barkerwellness.com and use promo code TALLEN30 to get 30% off your first order. And now, back to the Tallen Time podcast.
As we're uncovering these artifacts, we're creating new ones. So just as with your family, you not only wrote a book, you created an artifact, something that people will remember over time. It may prompt their own discovery to find 60 new things that you didn't know, and those things. So the idea of artifact has been a big part of what we've been doing, because of the history and what we've been able to uncover in various libraries around the history of Marin City has been unprecedented. So now we realize that it's not just a book for commercial use, it's actually something that can preserve a generation. So, and Felicia's really humble, but I'm gonna lift her up because she got her mom and her family in the book that sets off the book, which is really important. All too often you have culture keepers that do great work for the community and they sacrifice themselves. So I'm really glad that you put those things in your book. I think to honor your mother, to honor your ancestors, because it's your work, it's Felicia's work in this community that has made this community better.
That's outstanding. And what a rich history and what a worthwhile cause. So obviously we're going to encourage our readers to learn more about this. You'll be seeing information about how you can reach out, how you can contribute to this worthwhile cause or worthwhile causes. And is there a primary website that they can go to? And can we talk a little bit about the website and how you're going about that?
Sure. For more information, visit us at marincity80.com. 80, marincity80.com. Follow us on Instagram at marincity80. Performing Stars on Twitter as well as Instagram. Those are our handles. That's where you can find us.
And there was many ways that people can support. One is to become a member of the Marin City Historical and Preservation Society, but also we do have various levels of sponsorships. It can go from $5 holler to up to 50,000, whatever you want to give, because it's so important that we have that stability. As everyone knows, and you mentioned, Terry, philanthropy is a really big part of this, but in order to keep this legacy going, we have to fundraise, and we have to really, in order to keep the legacy alive, because this is the first time that Marin City has ever had a historical and preservation society. And so we have oral histories, we have artifacts. We want to be able to have a place that residents know that they can donate to their artifacts. I had one lady just brought in her mother's badge that when she worked at the shipyards. So there are many people, I believe, that have artifacts that they want to turn over, but they want to know that it's going to a safe place that's trusted.
That's right. So if you sign up at Marin City 80, if you sign up for our newsletter, then you'll get all the details about our sponsorship packages and the various levels. And then also the things that you receive. For example, we talked about the Grandmother Fetus Love book. You come in at over $100 level, you'll receive a copy of that book, for example. So you can find all of that again at Marin City 80. And all roads lead to Marin City in August. So come visit, come see us.
Well, that's right. I'm going to get my copy, that's for sure. And I mean, this touches my heart. This is so wonderful. And after all these years of the history here and watching this area grow and develop, and bringing key retailers to the to the community. This touches my heart. I'm sure it touches your heart. We want to encourage people to give, because when you give, you're doing it to help other people. But the fact of it is how darn good you're going to feel when you do it.
Absolutely. And I think one thing that comes into play too from the philanthropic part of this end, Terry, is obviously this is home for you, but the history of Marin City is just so cool. And it's like, I think I can see why it's so important to preserve this history and to be able to share this history with others, not only who are here. This is not just a Marin City story. It's not a Bay Area story. It's not a California story. It's an American story. This is a story that everyone can relate to. And I think certainly, without question, that every Black community in the country can appreciate what the Black community has gone through here. And I think even more importantly is what you've done to be able to share that story and tell that story. So, Terry, that's, from a philanthropy standpoint, obviously it's close to home and matters, but it's an overall story that matters a lot to everybody.
It sure does. So we encourage you to support and to give to these great American patriots. We touched upon 3 of the 4 elements of our show: leadership, philanthropy, and business. And now we're going to talk about sports. Tom's here in town covering the Tampa Bay Rays. And one of the things that we learned from Felecia and Jahi is that there were 2 Negro League baseball teams here, which I bet most people didn't know. That the migration was here in 1942. The shipbuilding took place from 1942 to 1945, and then in the 1950s, the baseball teams were created, and one was the Marin City Merchants, and the other one was the Marin City All Stars. Felecia, can you tell us a little about that?
Through my research, I was able to locate these photos, and all of those baseball players are no longer with us, but their family members are here. So, for instance, in the Merchants, one of the baseball players, his sons own several businesses. So, by him being on the baseball team, he really made it a point to make sure that his children would become business people. But there also was a boxer. He's no longer with us now, but his family is here. His name was, Thomas, P.D. Thomas. I call him Pete Thomas. And he went on to open up an auto detailing shop. So with that in mind, there, at least we know that there are young people still that are playing sports. And I believe that this is a good segue so they would know the history about the different sports team that was here in Marin City. And this is a really good way to just educate more people about. So as I'm doing the research, I'm finding out more and more about not only we had a Negro baseball team, we had a boxer, a famous boxer here. I'm sure there's going to be more as I keep uncovering more of this history.
I think with that, we are very grateful for your being able to make the show today. It's always a pleasure to be with you, and I'm looking forward to participating with you in all the events coming up through the summer, and certainly on August the 20th.
Absolutely. It's been great to meet you both and to have you here, and we'll obviously look forward to everyone learning a lot more about what you're doing and enjoying August and September when they roll around for all your big events as well. That's a great thing. So Felecia and Jahi, we really appreciate you being a part of the show, and Terry, thank you for sharing this little piece of your world with me. It means a lot, and I think for those people out there who enjoy our podcast, this is a story certainly worth telling, and I'm sure you all enjoyed it very much. So thanks for being a part of the show, and thank you all for being there. And Terry, thank you for having this here and for your role and helping the way you help here as well. So we appreciate it. And so that'll do it for this podcast, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.